because I'm like, yeah, my friend got me into the drawing, and then my mom got me into the landscape architecture, and then another friend got me to London, and now I'm living my dreams. So I don't know what I would do without my friends.
Well, so tonight we have Živa with us. She is from Slovenia, but she lives in London. You know, that's kind of a then okay to use her for the English shows. the multinational Živa. All right, Živa, anything you want to share before we start? You want to say anything?
I don't know. I'm just happy to be here and a little bit nervous what you will ask me.
All right. Oh, it's
So
tricky.
let's see.
It's tricky questions here. We all right. You know, I hope you studied quantum physics. If you didn't, then we will be here for hours because you cannot go off until you answer the question.
Oh, good.
Imagine, Chad, that would be true. Imagine, right? Hey, I just remembered, guys. Don't forget, right? Next Monday after podcast, we give away one of these. So be here. Follow the JP channel on Mr. JP channel on Twitch. Yeah, on Twitch. It will only work for those who are following Twitch. And be in chat, be active. You will have to type something in chat to be part of the game, and then you will get your own ball in that game. And then the balls randomly go down the pipeline who have, you know, certain track. And if your ball comes down first, you get the cup. So yeah, you would never pass that. Well, maybe. I think quantum physics is, you know, it's much more in our lives than we think it is.
Yeah, I have a brother who is a PhD in physics.
You see, Spela, you wouldn't need to go far to get the answer. You'll be like, Živa, can you ask your brother? I'm here stuck with JP. Can you help me? High school, I'm cheating on a giveaway, so I'm yeah, man, try that. Hack the marbles.
Quantum physics.
Yeah, you know, use it all, everything you need. But yeah, anyway, let's start, right? So,
Yeah.
Živa, we always start with the same question, which is, right? How were you as a teenager? Like, you know, what were you dealing with at that time?
Oh God, what was I dealing with? I kind of knew this question is coming up. So who I was I was really happy kid. Like even when I was teenager, I was really happy. I was always really talkative, and I had a whole bunch of friends all the time. So I actually think of my teenage years as like a really happy period. Like it was just happy times. You went to school, you fool around with your friends, come back home, do whatever you did. I don't even know what we did. But yeah. But of course, it all depends on what time in the teenage years. No, and you are in the preschool, life is pretty much different than in high school. So yeah.
All right, got it. And
Yeah.
what would you say was, you said I was a happy kid, you know, it was awesome. So what was the source of that? Like, because, you know,
Yeah,
maybe
I
for
mean-
those who doesn't have that, like, you know, something they can apply to.
I mean, for sure, with my friends. I always, as I said, I always had lots of friends, and just like being with them was like really nice. We didn't have bullying in the school or anything. We were just a great group of people. And I don't know, what I really remember from high school were all the travels. They took us to Paris and Amsterdam and Munich and all over the Europe, and we always went together, the same group, and like we had the best time ever. So yeah.
All right.
I think friends are really the source of being happy.
All right, got that. And how was the relationship with professors, with teachers? That is usually where some people get stuck with. Yeah.
I was a little bit the naughty one, but I was also president of school student union. So I could fool around a little bit more than the others. But yeah, I mean, I never had problems in school. Like, I always had quite good grades. So, of course, a teacher gets you on it sometimes. But overall, we were just good.
All right. And what about the relationship with parents and siblings?
That was also good. I mean, I went out several times actually with my brother, and some of his friends are still my really good friends. So that was good. And then with parents, it's like every teenager. Sometimes you argue with mom because you want to go out and come back at 3 a.m. and she says 11, and then you say 2 a.m. and she says 11. So yeah, I think that was actually the only maybe problem I had as a teenager, was like I wanted to be outside more than my parents actually allowed me.
All right.
Yeah.
I got it. Oh, I see. It's having debate about hacks, huh? That's it. Cool. All right. So, and then at that time, also one thing happens is like the body starts developing, the hormones start kicking out. Usually, you start discovering what means to be in love and boys or girls, whatever is your thing. So, how was that for you? How did you deal with that? Like, did you jump right into it, or you were the more cautious one?
Oh gosh, you're asking me weird questions now.
It's not weird, but it's just life questions. Is this a weird question?
Something for the people who watch. My a little bit who I am in life is like really relaxed. I don't give a shit about much of the things, so probably maybe I would be dealing with stuff more if I wouldn't have that. But yeah, I don't know. It was just very usual. I had few boyfriends. I don't really know how to answer this.
No, there is no right question. It's just like however you answer it is okay.
Yeah, I might be more on the shy side of it. But still, I had boyfriends all the time, so yeah. I wasn't one of those who go out and was kissing everyone in the club, but yeah, I was in the relationship most of the time. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, and then comes the big question in high school, right?
Yeah.
Which is like, what to go study.
Oh yeah, that was a fun story.
Yeah, so how did you decide?
So my whole life I was saying when I grow up I'm going to be a veterinary, so an animal doctor, because I love animals. I really love them. And then somewhere around 8th grade, which is when I was about 14, I started to draw a lot, and I suddenly realized that I love animals so much that I can actually be with operating them or even putting them down. Like, that was just too much for me. And more than I draw, more I realize that what I actually want to do is draw. And at that time, I really drew lots of animals again, because the animals were my love. And at that moment, I decided I want to be an illustrator for Disney, because I heard they have these cute little lions and bears in studio, and they watch them move and they draw them. So I was like, that would be my perfect job. I would so have a lion in my office. So yeah, and then people get to you like be a little bit more realistic, like what do you really want to do? And so I decided I want to be an architect, because that's something where you can get a job in Slovenia, and it's quite creative, and you draw a lot. And then actually it was my mom who said to me, listen, there is a new study opening in the university. I mean, it wasn't that new, but it was like no one knew about it. And it's called landscape architecture. And given how much you love nature, that might be a thing for you. And so I decided to go and see on that day when you go to see the university. I also went there and I quite like it. But I was like, no one knows about this in Slovenia. Like, how will I ever get a job? So I still decided to go to study architecture. And then luckily I wasn't accepted. Because honestly, I now that I'm thinking of like designing buildings would be the worst thing for me. Like, because what I love about landscape architecture are plants and actually working with nature. So yeah, I wasn't accepted to the architecture university, but I passed landscape architecture test. I think it's called in English with flying colors. Like I really got lots of points, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna go and see what happens. So I started to study landscape architecture, and in the first year, I started to love it so much. And I was so grateful they didn't accept me on architectural university.
Yeah, and that is, I mean, what you just shared is really great, because it's like, you want to be veterinarian because you love animals, and then you discovered something else. And then inside of that, you had this drawing and, passion for drawing, and you were like, all right, how can I combine this? And this is usually how, passion in life is discovered. It's not like, I want to be that, and this is it. Yeah, for some people it is, but for most people it's like you have to a little bit dwell in the question, be really like, all right, what can I do with it, but like, all right, I love this, but and then combine your passions, like you love to draw, and then you love animals and nature, and that is.
Yeah, at this point I would also say to everyone, like, listen to your parents, they know you.
All right.
Because it was my mom who said, you would really love landscape architecture. I can really see you in it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, we gotta be a little careful here, because some parents, wants to live their dreams through their kids. So maybe
okay.
that depends on the relationship. You guys have to be the judge here, the judge, jury, and executioner. But what you will do, and it's gotta be your decision. It's not theirs. But they can definitely, how to say, point you in a direction.
For sure.
Depends on the relationship that you have with them. Yeah. So Mr. JP said the same was with me, wanted to be a vet but love animals too much. And then Spela said, how does landscape architecture look like?
So basically, how would I explain that? If you look at the architects, they design buildings, and landscape architects design everything else. So landscape architecture is a really big field. For example, you can work as a planner and you do the plan where like highway will go through Slovenia, where the bear will walk, where they'll grow cows, where there'll be fields, like what will happen in mountains. You decide all of that. And then you have like smaller scales, like designing a street, like which pavement will be on the street, which trees will grow on the street, or like even the city, how the city will work, when the main traffic will go. And then it goes down to the gardens, which flower will grow exactly there. So it's a really huge field.
All right. And
designing everything,
yeah. All right, she said, okay, I got it. My granddad did that all over, isn't it? Awesome, amazing.
Nice.
Amazing. So where did you, in this broad field that you just discover, what did you discover as your passion? Like, I mean, what are you doing or you wanted to do?
Yeah, so that it's funny because I actually love every piece of it. I was actually I actually really like an idea to like study bears, for example, see where they move across Slovenia, and then design the paths from there. But in reality, most of the landscape architects in Slovenia work in like municipality office.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if the creativity level is
That
high.
high.
It's probably more papers and laws and all of that, and that I was never really into the law. I love to break rules. So I don't think it would be really good if I would design something on the scale of a country, because it will probably break all the law. But
well, it's good that you're not then, right? We will have trouble. We will be like driving on the highway, hitting electricity pole while the bear is walking around it. So.
Yeah, I think if I would design it, the bear would have all the space. Like we would just put all the people in one corner of the country and leave it to the nature.
Road from Novo Mesto to Ljubljana would be like 4 times longer. It would go like really.
And people would use horses.
all right. Okay, it will take us a little while to get to Ljubljana from Novo Mesto, where I'm from, but
Anyway, I started during my college years to work in tree nurseries.
Mm-hmm.
So I really fell in love with plants at that time.
Well, all right, but what is a tree nursery? I mean, we know a nursery for human beings, but what is a tree nursery?
It's very similar.
Okay.
You have little baby trees, and they stand in a row and they grow until someone buys them and plant them into their garden.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's like.
So, but why it's called a nursery? It's like because they
grow the plants.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, I guess so.
I mean, yeah, I'm just going with what you're saying.
It's like a little bit like a garden center, just less commercial.
Mm-hmm.
You get like really nice plants. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, I fell in love with plants, and that's when I decided that gardens will be my passion in life. So yeah, I started to do that.
All right. Mr. JP said in between, you need to know the rules so you can break them.
Yeah, I know them.
Here we go, right? All right, but one thing I didn't ask you before is like, where did your passion for drawing came from, or passion for animals came from?
Oh yeah, that's a great question. So again, I had a friend. Come on, people, like friends are really important in your life. I had a friend who drew really, really well. I mean, if she would go for a job at Disney, they would take her immediately. She still draws amazingly. And she was sitting next to me at the, oh gosh, how is it called in English? It was not in school, but it was the after school like after school thing where they taught us.
Oh yeah, it's like the whatever you're interested in. There is a couple of subjects that they gave you, like art or basketball or volleyball, stuff like that, in the afternoon after school, and you could pick one. That's what you mean?
Yeah, but it was verouk. How is it called in English?
Oh, it's the right. Yeah, it's the religion lessons you get in church.
Religion lessons. Oh my gosh, I lost the word.
I guess that. That's how I would call it. I don't know if that's the official thing. Don't take me for
Anyway, in Slovenia we have these religion lessons, and well, me and
but
my
not
friend,
for everybody. Just to be
yeah, just
clarified, it's
whoever choose
whoever
it.
wants it. Yeah, it's an
Yeah,
afternoon. How it says, it's by choice. Yeah, whether you choose
yeah.
to do it or not.
And so me and my friend were never really interested in listening too much. So one day, I think we were about 7 actually. It was like really, I think the first year we didn't listen to whatever they were talking. But she taught me how to draw a donkey because we were drawing a native scene, you know, the Mary and Joseph and Jesus, and there are a donkey and a cow. So we of course started to draw donkey, and she taught me how to draw donkey, and I was like, wow, I can actually do that. Like I can actually draw. So for a while I drew donkey everywhere.
Yeah, well, that's what little kid does, right?
Anyway, yeah, and we became really good friends. So basically we were drawing a lot, and she even sometimes gave me like a little tutorials how to draw something. But I need just practice. So yeah, we were even sometimes sitting outside and draw.
All right, so we got your friend to thank that
Yes.
you did the flying colors on the landscape architecture exam. Yeah, awesome. Well, if you're watching, I don't know who you are, but if you're watching, thank you for that.
Yeah.
Right. Well, yeah, and this is exactly right when people are lost and thinking about what is my passion, what I want to do in life. But there is so much when we were young that we discovered, we wanted to discover, see. It's like it's amazing. By the way, thank you guys for liking the stream. I appreciate it. A couple of you did it, so thank you very much. Natalia was the last one, and Ursha before her that I know of. Yeah, so thank you for that. All right, and another passion was, like you said, animals and nature. Like, where did that come from? Maybe it's even a really good pointer for nowadays parents and kids, teenagers, and anybody else. Like, why animals and why nature for you?
Oh, that's a good question because I have no answer to it.
Okay.
Since I was small, like I mean, my parents always took me for holidays. We didn't go to the seaside to Croatia like all of the Slovenia. We always went to Trenta, to the mountains, camping. Like really, since I was small, and that was like a paradise. You know, you had this Socha River, which was crazy cold, and then we played a game Who Dare to Go into it. And when we were hungry, we just went out and picked some blueberries, strawberries, whatever we found. I don't know, we were just always doing something. Like, really, Trenta is a paradise for kids. So I think this is where it comes from. Like, I was always in mountains, always in forests. We have a forest behind our house, so that was another great playground for us. But yeah, since always I remember we were like picking berries and all of that. And then with animals, I don't know, I was just always really good friends with animals. Like, they love me, they just come to me, and then I pet them all, and like from deers to dogs to cows. So yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
No, really, it's like, because like you said, a lot of Slovenians does go to the seaside during the summer, and it's, and that is it. I think it's also one way. So, some of the people find it there. So it's really a different place where you can find your passion. Yeah. So, and I think the important thing is also not to be hooked on it, right? So it's like, oh, you could be hooked on the Disney thing, and you will keep on being, I will draw there, and people will come offer you jobs. You'll be like, no, I'm gonna draw there. 60 years old, still saying I'm gonna draw there, and working in I don't know, whatever profession that doesn't make you happy. So yeah, that is also important to be open. All right, and then we go like, all right, you finish studying the landscape architecture, right?
Yeah.
And you said before in Slovenia there is not much, or it's only municipalities. So
yeah,
what did you do then? You have this diploma now. What now?
Yeah, no, I didn't even have a diploma. it was in 2014 because I studied part of my studies in Sweden, and in 2014 I returned to Slovenia.
Oh, okay. Maybe stop. Let's go a little bit to Sweden, right? Right?
Yeah.
We're interested in Sweden.
Best time ever.
All right, why?
It was just amazing. I love Sweden. I love the whole Scandinavia so much. I mean, their food is amazing. People are so nice. Like,
sun is 24/7 part of the year, and
no, because I was there in winter, so it was actually dark all the time. I don't know. It was just like it was. For example, the first day that was maybe interesting. Like you don't leave student houses. There are actually houses, you know. There was this cute little park with cute little houses in it, and each house had like 3 bedrooms, a bathroom, a kitchen, and a living room, and 3 students lived in it. So you had a house with 2 others, the whole house with a garden and everything. So
all right.
Yeah, the first day I moved in, it was in the afternoon, and someone rang the bell, and there was this lady who brought me cookies, and she was like, "Oh, I saw you just moved in. I'm your neighbor. Ring me if you need anything. Here are cookies for you." And I was like, okay. So I met that lady the next day at the university, and she was a cleaner.
Oh wow.
Yeah, but she was so nice, and her English was perfect. That was amazing. And then same day, the first day I was there, again I was in my room unpacking everything, and someone knocked on the door again, and it was my roommate, and she said, "Yeah, I just noticed you don't have any food, of course, because it's your first day here. So I made you a dinner, and I wasn't sure if you're vegetarian or not. So I made you a risotto with vegetables and apple pie for the dessert. Is that okay?"
Is that okay?
I was like, these people are brilliant. No, seriously, Swedish people are so nice. They were like, they welcomed me so well that it was just amazing. And then what I loved about it was the first day at university, we actually got a schedule for the whole year. So basically on 1st of the September, I know that I'll have homework on 17th of November.
All right.
I knew I'll be I'll have a lesson till like 1, and then I'll have a homework for another hour. So
at the university, like with the professor, or how did that?
And if the homework was not in the schedule, the professor wasn't allowed to give us homework.
Okay.
So it was really cool. We could schedule like little trips, because we could know like, okay, that day we won't need to go to the university, we can go to Oslo. So we basically traveled a lot in Scandinavia. We went to Iceland, we went to Portugal. So yeah, it was a fun year.
All right, awesome. And I also, studied abroad in Denmark. So here is the question: is like, how did you deal with financial thing? Because mine, the help from the Erasmus just covered the monthly, rent. That was it. Rest was on the parents. Yeah.
That's the Scandinavian secret. Sweden is about half price Denmark.
All right.
Yeah, it's half cheaper than Denmark, and it's half or even more than half cheaper than Norway.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So yeah, it was actually good. I don't know. I could afford planes like to Portugal and Iceland, and
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
yeah,
it was that
we
was.
traveled a
I mean,
lot.
it
Yeah.
wasn't that little the Erasmus, but it's just like for me, I was only covering rent with it.
Oh
Yeah,
no, it covered actually the Erasmus covered more than half of my rent.
yeah. It for
Yeah.
me. Maybe you had already higher because I know they put it a little higher than I had it. Like it was 300 because you get it in package 80%
Ah, okay.
altogether now 20%
Yeah,
after you come back. So
yeah.
when
No,
I
we
did
had.
calculated it, it was like around 350 euros, I
Ah,
think.
no, I had 450, and
Yeah.
the
Oh.
rent was 210, something like that.
Mm. Yeah. Okay, that's
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, mine,
Yeah.
mine was 350. So
Okay.
I was like, luckily my parents were like are really cool and they supported me and
Yeah.
my bro in all
Yeah,
the
of course.
crazy
I,
ideas.
I
Yeah.
got some more money from my parents, of course, and
Mm.
yeah.
Oh, well, you don't do any cost at home, so
Yeah.
yeah. No, I'm joking. It's a joke of parents. We both have
It's
really cool
their
parents.
duty
So
to pay us.
yeah, it's their duty. They made us, so they should support. Hello, Mikey. Good to have you here. Uh, yeah. Okay, so Sweden, and what about architecture? Did you get? Are you still using something that you learned from there, or it was just like a really cool experience to live in another country and get that international? Uh,
I'm actually still using the knowledge. We
mhm.
had a really cool class that was called Cultural Heritage, and that was like my favorite. It was so good. So when I came back, I actually did a master thesis based on it.
Mhm.
Um, I did the reconstruction of the Baroque garden in Slovenia.
Of the
Um,
which garden?
Baroque. Do
Where
you
is
know
it?
Versailles?
Yeah, I know Versailles.
Yeah, so we have something, but a little bit smaller in Slovenia, like close to Maribor.
Mhm.
But
I
right
don't know that.
now, like, it's like corn growing in it.
Mhm.
It's
Okay.
completely abandoned. So, yeah, unfortunately.
But that is a sad, right? Have a little
Yeah.
Versailles in Slovenia. You could make a tourist point. It's just like.
Yeah, exactly. But it's abandoned completely, and
Yeah. Well, we don't want to know why. We can guess, but
yeah.
we know how Slovenia works around the land things. It's not very. Not,
I actually that was part of my studies, and I love to tell this to everyone because it's a really fun fact.
Mhm.
So in the world, I mean, the castles and palace always represented like higher level,
Mhm.
um, like rich people and like queens and kings and stuff. And in the Second World War, actually, the soldiers burned most of the Slovenian castles, and they never reconstructed them back because they represent like free Slovenia, like a land free of um, kings
Oh.
and people who want to own us.
Mhm.
So they basically left the half-burned castles everywhere just to remind us of that we were always under like Austria and under Italy and under everyone else, and that now it's the time for free Slovenia. Yeah,
All right, didn't know that because there's really a lot of castles in
yeah,
Slovenia. It's like one of the. I think there there is some measurement and I forgot it, but I think the most castles per some land
yeah,
bigger. I don't know. I would just invent. I mean, probably lie here, but per square kilometer we have the most castles.
yeah,
Like, yeah,
yeah,
I think in Europe, but most
yeah,
of them, like you said, are you know, uh, ruined, so to
yeah,
speak. All right, didn't know that we have a little Versailles in Slovenia. That's cool.
yeah.
Or
It's pretty cool.
having, but now it's current growing, which is good, right? At least.
That's still on
So,
my life to-do list to
okay.
actually do the reconstruction of it
All
so
right.
that it happens.
All right. That's cool, right?
Yeah.
By when?
2080.
2080. All right. I will be 94.
And I'll be 90.
Which will be
Yeah.
like, okay, cool. I will still be alive for another 40 years.
And
So
we'll
I guess,
drink champagne in our Baroque garden.
Okay, cool. I will be still alive for another 40 years, so we will have plenty of time to visit that garden.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, cool. Cultural heritage, interesting. I thought like you were like, nah, that's not something I'm interested in, but it's cool that you could, because you know, a lot of people go like in modern way and everything. Old
No,
is
I
like that.
I actually always loved history and art.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that was.
What do you find in? I mean, I get the arts because you like the drawings, but what about history is so interesting for you?
I don't know. It just. I think Masha shared on this podcast once that it's like a story. It's like listening to a very interesting story, and then you get lots of why is it now that way, the way it is.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
All right,
I don't know.
so then you agree with, if you know where you come from, like, or something. It's a saying. I don't know exactly, but it's like it's you must know where you come from to know who you are, and something like that.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know if I agree or not, but yeah, it's I don't know. It's just the history was always such a good thing to listen to.
I mean, I'm asking you, but I get it, right? It was one of my favorite subjects in school as well. It was history, because
Yeah.
especially the world wars. I didn't like the ages in between Roman Empire and world wars. It was like, no, that's not for me. But yeah.
Oh, I always loved like Renaissance and Baroque. That was my favorite.
You're a lady. I know, I'm joking. Joking, no offense to any guys here.
I'm the queen.
Yeah, you know, definitely. You know that there is a Versailles in Slovenia. Most of us don't, so I guess you're at least halfway there. Okay, so you know, and then you say, okay, that's the Sweden thing. You were traveling a lot. You got this to the master thesis, and then what? After you come back, finish the studies, and not.
Yeah, when I came back, I started to write my master thesis, and I was like, I'm gonna find like a job or do something. I'll use my student status as long as it's possible. So I'll put in my master thesis as late as possible. So yeah, I was working a little bit, as I say, in 3 nurseries. But then I actually I started to realize there is no job for me in Slovenia. I mean, you know, every now and then you do get a garden to design, but that's like 1 a year or maybe 2 a year. You can't really live of that.
Why do you think is that? Why do you think is that in Slovenia? Like, what, by your
no idea.
experience?
I mean, I think it's getting more and more towards people actually hiring someone to design the garden. But so far it's like, you know, our parents, how they are. They grow potatoes and tomatoes in their gardens. They plant an apple tree and they're happy with it. They don't need much more.
Yeah, right. It's also like if I look, it's like, you know, every grandma knows how to do the garden.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, right.
Exactly. But I think with the younger people now building houses, they actually start to realize not so much that they don't know how, but they just don't have time to bother with it. Like they rather play with their kids and someone else do the garden.
Yeah, I got that. Yeah. And by the way, Lentepen26, thank you for the follow. Welcome to the family. Amazing to have you here. Yeah, and it's also, yeah, maybe that. Yeah, I mean that is, and I use Slovenian word Muslim, you know, thinking about it. But yeah, that is definitely it. If I would look from my perspective, I would be like, it will be more like not the time, but I would be like, look, I don't know anything about gardens. I don't know what to go together or not to go together, which flowers, and I'm not interested in that, right? It's just like it's my what I want to do, where my focus is totally elsewhere, and that is the important thing. So if I don't know it, well, that is why we have specialists for that. We have people who study that and they're good at it. So just trust them and let them do it, right? I think that is a little bit cheeky on Slovenia side, is that you must know everything, and it's good to do everything by yourself. And then people are like overburned. They work job and whole afternoon to keep something beautiful or great, and then miss on the older relationships. I'm not saying it's that for everybody, but in today's tempo, it's pretty much like
And when you were asking before, like what kind of teenager I was, and so that my life won't sound completely just all the time happy.
All right.
I think that was actually maybe the hardest part of my life, because it was like I knew I don't want to work in some municipality office and deal with law, because I was like, I'm gonna die in the first year. And then on the other hand, I was like, maybe I could work in tree nursery, but in Slovenia, in tree nursery, you get winter and you get summer where there is completely no work. They mostly just close the tree nurseries. And go for holidays. So that was like a seasonal work. No one really was employing in the design sphere of it, like something creative, something to draw, something to do with plants.
How was that for you at the time?
Yeah, as I said, it was horrible, because you have this passion that you want to do, and you just can't put it anywhere. So it came to the fact that I applied for a job in Hofer and stuff like this just to get some money. But it was really frustrating. Like, I can imagine you can have people who don't know what their passion in life is and they just do whatever. And then when you have people who have passion and they can't use it, that's the most frustrating thing in the world, probably.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
Definitely.
I think it's far worse than not knowing what to do with yourself.
Yeah, because when you don't know what to do, you can keep on discovering, but when you know, then it's all about creating opportunities, which is another thing that we are not taught by anybody. Like that is something that every human being discovers. It's not like, in school you have a subject, all right, let's discover passion, and another subject is, all right, how to create opportunities, right? What options are out there in the world? Right, that would be two cool subjects in school, I think. Like, in one subject you will be debating with professor and looking and searching, right, to find your passion, what is it? And in another subject there will be a cool professor who will tell you, look, you have, all right, what do you think? All right, with this profession or what you're interested in, you could do this and that, and on that side of the planet, stuff like that. Right. So maybe something to put in schools, if anybody from
I can teach that.
Yeah, right. I mean, then anybody who has discovered his passion and creating opportunities can teach both of the things.
Exactly.
And that is it, right?
It was so much fun. Like, the thing you do when you're not listening to the teacher, that's your passion, probably. I was drawing.
All right, you see, there we go. Another one, right? Or if you're at work and you do work very fast and then you do something else.
Yeah.
But okay. And then what did you do? It's like, it's frustrating. It's like, it's in there. You could easily go into.
So one thing that was at the time really give me some satisfaction in that matter was I joined a local charity for homeless animals. Basically, it was like on really low point of existing. So me and my friend at that time, we started to like catch cats around Novo Mesto. That's the city in Slovenia. We were catching homeless animals, like mostly cats, and find them homes. So I had a whole bunch of cats at home. I mean, it was great. I love this, but you can't get really far with that.
Can imagine it must be great on your partner, right? On Aleš.
Oh
That
yes.
must be great, right?
Oh
He
yeah.
was like, he came here. He said, "I'll come home, lie on the couch for 10 minutes. In 1 second, he has 20 cats all over."
No, he was a little bit more like, if you bring in another cat, I'll move out.
All right.
So
It was that bad. Okay. I mean, bad,
yeah.
but also really, really honorable.
Yeah.
All
No,
right.
I love it. I absolutely love cats, so I can have 20 of them. I would still have 20 of them. um, so yeah, but that was a little bit of a buffer just to get me through it.
Mm-hmm.
And then what happened is, my best friend from college, he basically went for holidays to London. And when he was here, he was actually, you know what, there is far more, because he's also a landscape architect, of course, because he was with me in college. He was like, there must be far more opportunities in London. So he printed out 3 portfolios and took them to like completely random studios he found in London. And 2 of them called him back.
All right.
Yeah, so he started to work for one of them.
Mm-hmm.
And he called me and he was like, you know, these guys still need so much people. Would you want to move to London? And I was like, what are you saying? Like, move to London? Are you crazy? But the more I thought about it, the better idea it sounded. And I was like, I mean, I lived in Sweden, I can live in London. But I still had my master thesis to finish. So I didn't go immediately. I moved about half a year after him. Yeah. And it was like really easy, because for a week I lived with him until I found my own apartment, and then I don't know, we were just living really close, so it's so much easier to move somewhere when you have someone already there.
Yeah, definitely.
You don't go completely alone. It's so much easier.
Yeah, but that is exactly what we were talking before, right? Is like that is creating opportunity then. You know,
Yeah.
that guy was similar to you, went to London. He was like, all right, here must be opportunities. Bring it 3 portfolios, take it to 3 studios, and 2 of them called him back and he got a job. And that is something that, you know, most of the people don't even think about it. It's like, I'm on vacation. I don't want to think about the stress in my life. It's like, no, I will turn off the brains. I'm just gonna enjoy it here, get drunk, get partying, see the museum, see the, whatever London offers, and not see the opportunities.
Yeah.
And I think that is something also we can take on. And it's just like, and living abroad is pretty much no different than living at home. It is, right? You will share that in a bit, but it's still, either you want to follow your passion or you will give in and do whatever is there available, and be another piece in the system that is unhappy, I would say. I don't know how to call it, but yeah. All right. So, and what did you do in that 6 months? Why did it took you 6 months?
I had to finish my master thesis, my Baroque garden.
Okay.
So yeah, that took a while, because all the teachers have to read through it and give you something to correct and all of that.
But were you excited about it? It was like, how did you deal with it? It was like excitement and all right, I can do this. And then with every month you were like more and more in doubts or more and more in favor. How did that process go?
No, it was actually very easy, because they told me if I don't graduate by the end of September, I'll have to pay £1,000 to graduate. You have to pay at some point for your diploma. So that was my motivation, those euros.
All right. Yeah, euros. Yeah, but I get it. You said
Yes.
pounds because you live in London.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So that £1,000 was actually my biggest motivation. I mean, I did really enjoy writing my master thesis because I was really interested in the matter. It was just I had two mentors, and I think they had a little bit of different idea about what my diploma should be. So that was like a week before I was supposed to have my presentation. One of them went like, "Oh, I just had an idea. We could add a whole chapter in your master thesis about whatever." And I went like, "No, I'm just gonna do that and I'll leave." Stop it. So she was like, because I was like, I need to pay €1,000 if I do your chapter. And she was like, oh, I didn't know that. Okay, let's just do it.
All right.
Yeah. So yeah, I did that. But yeah, overall, I really enjoyed my master thesis. It was like, because I was actually discovering what kind of plants they were using in Baroque gardens in Slovenia. And basically, it's nowhere recorded, really. So I was going through like Valvasor's books and all these really, really old books and trying to figure out what the names of the plants are because they are different than they are now. And it was like, it was a real research that took it like years to get through.
All right.
Yeah.
Got it. Amazing that you did that, right? It's like I always, how to say, I really respect people who go into research things because I'm more of a do not research.
I know.
I'm more like
You want to do everything fast. I know you.
Yeah, right. Let's do it and discover it on the way. While most of people go into research and study and test and stuff like that. No, that's not JP thing. JP goes and discovers on the way. Oh yeah. So, all right, Shvela asked, how did the moving to London look like? Like how it was for you?
Oh, it was crazy. I mean, it was so much easier to have a friend over. But it was still a little bit crazy. Like, I could see my parents on the one side, they were like, okay, we get it, you want to move because you want to follow your passion, go for a few years, we'll support you, whatever you need. And on the other side, they were like, oh, I do really want to leave the country. And then I had to also include my boyfriend into that idea. But he was pretty much up for it. And then what else was like that? Then I just didn't want to even think about how you pack all the stuff you have and move them to London. So yeah, but I think the thing that really made a difference was having a friend over. And I lived with him for a week. I could find a flat, like I wasn't in a rush. So yeah, at the end, everything went pretty smooth. But it was still a little bit like, at the end, you are moving to the flat with some random people you don't really know. You are going to a job you don't really know. You are going to a country that has a different laws and rules and everything. So yeah, it was for sure lots of this not knowing, like, what will happen? Will that even work out? Or will I be back in a week? So yeah.
And what was your plan? Like, going into London was like, all right, I'm going for 1-2 years and then I'm coming back, or it's like.
Yeah, I think it was more about like 3 or 4 years. But that's pretty much now.
Okay.
I'm not yet coming back.
Yeah, okay,
So,
I got it.
No,
right?
I was a little bit like, yeah, I'll go and see if I actually like the job or not. Then I might stay longer. If I don't, I might come back. I was really open to whatever will happen. So. I mean, I was like, it can't be worse than in Slovenia, where I was unemployed, raising cats.
The cat lady at 20.
I was the cat lady, come on.
all right, I got it. But here's a question, right? If people are like, if they're tempted to move, like, what would your, if they would ask you, Živa, give me an advice, what should I pay attention to or be careful of, or how should I deal with this situation? What would you say from your experience?
I would say don't rush, because some people like to do, like, they move overnight and then they're here and they're like, okay, I'm gonna find the flat, I'm gonna find the job, and they take the first flat so they have somewhere to sleep, and they take the first job so they can pay for the flat. But especially in London, you get lots and lots and lots of shitty flats. It's not like in Slovenia, where most of the flats are okay, but it's like most of the flats are not okay.
All right.
So it's not like you take the first one you find, but it's really good to just, I don't know, take a week like I was living with my friend and go for some viewings. Yeah, and then also choose the agent properly, because the agents can at the end steal your money. Like, there is so many frauds around here. So yeah, I would say that don't just rush into something. Yeah.
All right, cool. And how did you deal with this not knowing? Barbie, thank you for liking the stream. How did you deal with this? You said, I don't know the roommates, I don't know the job, I don't know the city. So,
well, it was, on one side, it was like really easy on the way. Like, I had a friend, and that was, friends were always the most important thing for me in life, probably, because it's like, I was like, I knew if some shit happens with my flat, I can go to his place and find another flat. Or it was just like that. And I was like, oh, and there are plenty jobs in London. If I won't like my job, I'll probably just find something else. So it was always, it wasn't like I'm moving to London and that's it. And if that doesn't work out, I don't know what will happen. But I was always like, I moved to London, and if that doesn't work out, I'll go back to Slovenia. I still have my parents, which are happy if I come back. Yeah, and I have plenty of friends. If something happens, I knew someone will take care of me if anything goes wrong. So yeah, that was.
Aleš just like the stream. Amazing. Thank you, Aleš. And following now. Amazing. Thank you. Yeah. But that is the thing, right? That is the thing in life. Relationships.
Yeah.
Like,
it's everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
actually, I got present to it while we are talking, because I'm like, yeah, my friend got me into the drawing, and then my mom got me into the landscape architecture, and then another friend got me to London, and now I'm living my dreams. So I don't know what I would do without my friends.
Like, right?
Where I would be.
Yeah, and here is a heads up for human beings like out there listening, or if you know any, if you got, I will do everything on my own. It's okay, you can do it, but you cannot be really, really successful or to really live your potential, because you don't know all the answers. And if you want to know all the answers, your head's gonna explode. So that's just the reality of it. Yeah. So relationships are like basics to everything. And me and Živa did one course together, and there was this leader who said, I own 20 businesses. And I was like, all right, it's like one human being owns 20 businesses. And you're like, all right, how do you do that, right? And he said, relationships. And then he said, look, I didn't invest even a penny into any of the businesses. I just had really good relationships, skills, and people want me in it. And, they want me to be a part of it and teach them, or, show them, or And all through relationships, he gets to 20 businesses, which he didn't invest a euro, like for us Europeans, into it, which is like, how is that even possible? Right? And it's similar, right? What you will be sharing right now with us is like, because I know your story. We are friends. This is the Živa, guys. Those of you who are with me in these streams, and I say I have coachings with Živa, this is the Živa. She's my coach. Or buddy, or however you want to say. She gives me challenges for the week. What should I pay attention to or do, or stuff like that? Hold me to account that then I do those things. So that I move my life to a point where I want it to be. And just like I said, it's easier to do it. You can do it on your own, but if you have people behind it, it's much more easier and comfortable and joyful, I would say.
Yeah, for me it was always also easier to take risks because I knew always I have a backup. They were always my parents with whatever I need. So yeah, that's really what's awesome.
Yeah. And look, I know everybody here who is listening that probably doesn't have that, because we know the things that are going around dealing with a lot of human beings in the last few years. And it's like, just create relationships, right? And be the person that you want to spend time with. That is the key. That is how you create a relationship, right? If you're cynical and skeptical, just think about, would you be around somebody who is cynical and skeptical and complaining all the time? I mean, gotta give people the credit if you still have friends or family that supports your well-being. That I give my parents the credit. I was like that until a couple of years ago. And still here and there, and then I have friends who said, hey, is that really who you want to be? And I'm like, oh no, okay, cool, let's do something different. so okay. And all right, you're now in London, right? Doing the job, having the flat, boyfriend in Slovenia who is supporting you, that you're there. If anything goes wrong, there is a friend. You can still come back home. Anyway, how did it go?
So, I mean, it was a little bit more rookie road as it sounds right now, because the first job I actually got, I didn't like. I really liked my boss and all the co-workers. They were like really great. But the job itself, it was more like maintaining gardens. So going out, pruning stuff, planting bulbs, changing flower beds, all of this. It was also sometimes really physically exhausting. So I was looking for a new job and I got it. But what happened is that the new boss was actually, you will be a little bit outside, a little bit in design, all of that, blah, blah, blah. And then what happened is that I was stuck in the same, basically, job as before.
All right. And by the way, Bojan Zelič, just like the stream.
Oh, that's my dad. Yeah.
Hey, Dad, how are you doing? Hello, thank you for being with us. Amazing.
Yeah. So.
Now you're nervous, huh? Now the nervousness kicks in. No, I'm joking.
Yeah, no, I'm just thinking where I was in my story. Yeah.
Yeah,
anyway,
you said
I
second
got that.
job. Yeah.
I got that boss. Who, a little bit saying a lot, but didn't really fulfill on what he was saying. So again, I was a little bit unhappy at that job. And then I decided to basically open my own company, because that was a really logic step.
Yeah, that's next thing in London. You try 2 jobs. If they don't work out, you create your own company.
I think I blame it a bit on that guy you mentioned before that owns 22 companies actually.
Oh, 22. All right, cool. Yeah.
And he really he was really the one who supported me in opening my own company. So yeah, basically I started Design Gardens in my own company, and that was like a real challenge. I mean, I loved it most of the time, but it is a challenge because you do deal with people and they come up with all the crazy things you can think of.
What's the craziest one?
Well, it's not for my company, but the company I was working for, we had floor heating in the garden.
Mm-hmm.
Like in the garden.
Yeah,
like, why do you need? What, do you walk barefoot in the garden in the winter or something that you need like floor heating in the garden? I mean, I was like, I mean, don't we have too many environmental problems already? Anyway, so yeah, clients do come with all sorts of crazy ideas, and your job as a garden designer is like, yeah, okay, I get that you want that, but nature doesn't work that way. That's
Yeah, I can imagine flowers would be happy on heated floors. They'll be like, yay, fresh.
yeah,
I'm
no,
cooking now. Let's go. Yeah, but
no,
I
it's
go
like
there.
it's usually like simple things, like they have really shady garden and they came with like cactus idea,
Mm-hmm.
something that really needs sun.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have to somehow convince them that it won't grow in their garden. We can still plant it. It might die. It might not bloom, but we can still do it. But
Yeah,
you'll pay for it when it dies. Or you can go with my idea and it will grow. So choose. So yeah, but the biggest part I was dealing with, and I found more problematic, was paperwork again. Like, as I mentioned before so many times, I really don't like paperwork and laws and all these like tax deductions. I know nothing about finances. I'm like, I can draw gardens like crazy, but when it comes to bureaucracy of it, I'm like, what do we do? So yeah, I'm still finger crossed that I filled in my tax return correctly last month.
okay. I still have to do that. Okay, now you
Oh
scared
yeah,
me.
you have to do it in January here. So yeah, um, yeah, that was the biggest deal I was dealing with. And then, as I say, I was really standing for having a really good relationships in like with my clients, like really listen to what they want, not what I want, because it's their garden, they'll be using it.
All right.
So yeah, really standing in that to have good relationships. And then on the other side, I was using a tree nursery here in London. They were providing me trees and plants. And the guys were really great. Like, I really loved working with them. And it's another relationship I took on. Like, I knew they'll make my life so much easier if we like each other. So we worked together really well. And then at some point, I was actually invited for the interview to their company as a designer. And I love them by that time so much. I was like, sure, I'm coming on board. So now I'm actually working for them.
All right. And still having your own company. Or
Yes, I'm still having my own company. But yeah, I mostly work for them, and I just love it. They are such an amazing workplace. Like, the co-workers are amazing. The projects they are giving me are like literally worth £1,000,000 gardens. So I can go crazy.
unleash the imagination.
I mean, my clients want like horses in the garden. They want helicopter space, whatever it's called. They want golf in. They want to do golf in their gardens. So you can imagine these are massive, massive things. And yeah, they just go with my ideas, which I love the most.
Yeah, awesome. But look, it's great what you're sharing, but I know there was like a little hiccup, like that you really needed to pull for one job. I don't know the exact story because you never told me. Somebody else told me. So I'm the guy who on a rain check thing. So it was like that. I think between first and second job, you find the second job on Instagram? Is
Yeah,
that?
on
Yeah.
Instagram.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I wanted to check that. Can you share about that? So you
Uh,
finished with the first job, and
yeah, I
yeah.
actually met my boss on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
He added me, and we started to talk, and he was like, you know what, we are looking for someone. Do you know anyone who is looking for a job? And I was like, actually, I would really love to have another job. And I was like, okay, let's do it. So the next day I changed job. It's like that in London. It's not like in Slovenia when changing job is a really big deal. Like most
Mm-hmm.
of the people work for 40 years in one job. Here it's normal that you work for 1 year in one job and then you move on.
All right. Awesome.
Yeah.
Right. And it. I mean, it took a lot, right, to open your own company, and it's just what
Oh yeah.
we shared before, relationships, right? Relationship with
Yeah, that's
people
that.
who supply you the plants, right? So you have client, you draw the garden, and then you gotta organize who, from where you will get the plants for that garden. And inside of that, you said, I'm taking on to have a great relationship with those guys because they will make my life easier. And then those guys employ you, and now you're unleashed in what you
Yeah.
want to do, right? I mean, you have clients whose
Yeah.
budget is so big that you like you said, I'm putting helicopter pads and golf places into
Yeah.
people's garden, and yeah.
I mean, I would mention another thing. When I opened my own company, it's like when you are in London, you need to know the right people to open your own company. It's not
Mm-hmm.
like you open your own company, put out like advertising or something, and people will just call you. No, it doesn't work that way.
All right.
Like London works completely on relationships. Like who do you know? And I basically knew one person, and she came to me and she was like, oh yeah, I remember you mentioned you are a garden designer. Would you do my garden? And I was like, okay. That was like the first month of my company. And I really listened to her. Like I was really looking at what she wants, what she actually wants in the garden, what she wants to create, what she wants to do in the garden. So we started to plan her garden, and she really loved working with me. And she was like, I have friends. And she started to recommend me, and I got about, I don't know, 6 or some clients from her, just from her.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was just calling me like every month. Živa, I have another client for you if you want. I was like, yeah, sure. So she basically got me through the whole Corona time, because when I opened my own company, also Corona started. So that was another interesting challenge where you can't actually go on site. So I still have one garden I designed, and it's half built by now, and I've never seen it in person.
All right.
I was never actually there. I just designed it. So I'm all the time like finger crossed my design will actually fit into the area. Because the client measure it. So it's like 13 meters, but it could be like 13 meters and 20 centimeters. And then you have a gap.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm still, I mean, it fits so far.
All right. So far, so good, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And the Corona times, and then this job came up, right? It's just like, my question is, how do you feel about life, right? Going from the total frustration of, applying in Hofer, applying in there, a friend says go to London, and you're like, okay, you know, maybe, okay, cool. It seems like a lot of work, a lot of things to organize, right? Coming to London, right? Start taking on jobs, change jobs, then maybe no, maybe I should open my own company, open your own company, right? The Corona starts, which is like awesome, right? Just like this is it. You cannot go anywhere. Good job that you open your company. We are very glad to have you in London. We will get paid and don't to give anything back. and then right, you just like, that relationship with that lady changed, the relationship with the suppliers got you now like as you are describing, a dream job at the moment, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
how,
I mean,
right?
it's just awesome. I was just calculating that I'm normally at work like for 11 hours and a half a day. And I'm just like, I love it. I mean, I'm not at all like, some people that wait that it will be 4 p.m. so they can go home, or they wait for Friday. I'm one of those people who sit there like 5 p.m. on Friday, and I'm like, am I supposed to go home? Like, why is everyone leaving?
Yeah, right.
And then I have to remember it's Friday. So yeah, it's.
I mean, it sounds awesome, and it's really, look, it's again, right? It's a relationship. It's just like we were talking. You shared with me the other day, right? You're talking with your boss about paying some expenses, and then the guy buys you a car. Right? I mean, that's like,
that was a funny thing, because for everyone who is watching, my workplace is located a little bit out of London. So I was really worried how I'll get to work every day, and then the train, and I was like, okay, and it will cost a lot and all of that. And then my boss was like, oh, don't worry, I'll get you a car. And there it was, my car for Christmas. Okay. It's awesome. I love it, and I'm really grateful for it. Like, but I think what I love about my workplace right now is the whole workplace works like this. Like, I actually now have a boss that really listens to employees, like what they worry about, and take it away. So everyone is like, I mean, I'm there for probably almost 10 hours a day, and everyone else is almost longer than me. Like, some guy starts at 5 a.m. and go home at 7, and they're just so super excited to be there for 14 hours. So it's a work that you can actually create a workplace like this. It's such a beautiful space.
Yeah, and that is the inspiring thing, right? That that those kind of places exist, and we all know one human being can do it. Any human being can do it. Now it's just up to you whether you want that or not.
Yeah.
So amazing, right? And you said I'm driving a car, so there is a question, right? Left side, really?
It's not so much different actually than the right side.
But how long did you take to really get adjusted to it? Like, did it just happen the first drive? You were like, okay, I know what I'm doing. Or...
No, not the first drive, but maybe the second. It's actually very the pure thing that you are on the left side of the road. You don't even notice it after a day or two. The problems that are is that you need to change gears with left hand. And my biggest problem, which I still sometimes have, is that I have the whole car on my left side, not on the right side, like a co-driver, and everything is left. So it's suddenly you really need. Probably the first time I was driving, I took the left side and I was driving the van the first time I was driving, not even the car. It was a massive van. I probably took the left-hand side through all the shrubs on the. And another thing that is in England, like, roads are really, really narrow. Like, what we have 2 lanes, they made into 3 lanes. And sometimes where if you imagine the road in Slovenia, that is one way only. And it's like you almost squeeze through. It's 2-way in London. So the traffic is stuck all the time because 2 people meet and then they can move anywhere. So it's a complete mess. But yeah, the roads are really, really narrow. They are literally made for that Mini Cooper mini version of it. Nothing more than that.
Yeah, or for a horse and a carriage.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, it's old cities, so in old cities it is like that, and it's not so easy to make the roads wider, right? It was much easier, I think, with Ljubljana, which was like a really small city. Well, like 100 years ago, it was a small city, and everything around was village. And now whatever they built, it went into a village place, so you could really restart the thing, or how to say, set it new. But in London, it's like it's big, and the outsides maybe are like that, but the insides definitely not, right?
Yeah, and the square meter is probably worth 10 times more than in Ljubljana. So they really think what they build, like each centimeter counts. So, yeah.
All right.
It's But yeah, you get used to it. Now that when I go to Slovenia and everyone writes on the right hand side, I'm like, why are we on the wrong side? So yeah, actually the right side became the wrong side for me now.
Yeah.
Like, and every time from airport to my home, I'm like, oh my gosh.
You know what happened to me? I came into London a few times, and the Uber picks us up, and I go on the driver's side. I'm like, here is a passenger, and I open the door, and the guy looks at me like, what are you doing? And I'm like, oh shit, here is the steering wheel. That's not my place. I gotta go around. Sorry, bro. Oops. Opa.
Yeah. I did that actually quite a few times.
Yeah,
even when I was driving, I went to sit on the seat next to it, and I was like, oh shit, it's the other way.
Yeah, and it's like it really goes like, right, the human, how we work is like habits, like we're used to, my bad, we're used to, so we will do what we're used to, not really think about, all right, well, I'm in this place now, so really
you really need to think when you are changing sites.
Yeah, that's what I was interested in before, right?
So. Yeah.
Okay, and what else about London, right, that you can share with us, that it's like comparing to Slovenia, that like what would you...
I always share these. Food sucks, people.
Okay.
It's amazing how one nation don't have taste. Like, I mean, when I see British food and people actually eat it, I'm like, do you actually like this? Or you just don't know something better exists in this world?
All right.
You go in the shop and you buy a bottle of wine that costs, I don't know, 15 pounds, and it's a complete crap. It's like, actually, one French person told me that he's in the wine business. they do that. France export everything they don't drink into Britain because they don't know the difference. And sell it for 30 pounds. And they're having the best time about it. And then you live in London and you need to drink that crap. It's really bad. And yeah, it's like they don't know what homegrown vegetable is. They don't know you can grow vegetable at home. It's like one time one client asked me to grow some vegetables in her garden so her kids can participate with like gardening with me, and they can learn like where tomatoes actually come from and that potatoes don't grow on the tree. It sounds bizarre. Anyway, we were planting these vegetables in the garden. And we had a really good time with the kids. Were brilliant. So we were planting potatoes, and then she came. She was like, we have a little bit of poppy seeds here. Can you just throw them around the garden so poppies will come out in the spring? And I was like, yeah, sure. So I took the seeds, and me and the kids were walking around and throwing the seeds around. And the kid, he was 8-year-old, say to me, so now we planted potatoes, and now we are planting poppies. So we are going to have our own chips and heroin this year. And I was like, why don't you know how tomato grows and you know where heroin comes from? Like, what's with this country?
8 years old now, how to grow heroin.
I mean,
cool.
He was a really smart kid,
Yeah,
you know.
I
Like
bet
he
on
was
that,
he
yeah.
was really smart, but still, I was like even his mom was like, you shouldn't know that.
Well, it's the modern age, right? The information's are right there, but
yeah, I mean it's funny. They're like complete. I mean, I thought given that it's Europe, it will be less different. Because you know, I always thought when you go like to Germany, even when I was in Sweden, it wasn't that different. Then you came to UK and it's a complete new world. It's like, are you guys serious?
all right, got
It's
it.
a complete weird country. Like,
But what would you take from Britain to Slovenia? Like,
oh God,
if you would take anything, I'm like, maybe the high ceilings in the apartment, like we see that you have. But...
the money they pay for the gardens for sure.
all right. Okay,
I don't know if I'll ever find Slovenian who would pay me $1 million for a garden.
Maybe, but yeah.
What I like maybe it's how. I mean, I know Slovenians do that too a little bit, but it's quite different how they go to pubs on Friday, because they don't go to the pub on Friday at 11 p.m. like Slovenians. They go right after work, like 4 p.m. and they're all standing on the street and they drink beer, talk to their co-workers. They're just having a great time. And then it's like 9 p.m. and they go home and that's it. The party's over at 9 p.m. I know I sound like an old lady right now, but somehow I really like that.
Yeah, there are clubs in London, by the way, for every
they
party people here, but it's just like we could say for the people who work, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
You know, I mean, there are a specific type of people that drink beer on Friday in a pub in Slovenia, when in England it's everyone. It's not just some people, everyone drinks beer on Friday pub, like 6 p.m. They're packed. Like, so yeah, I really like that spirit of it.
Yeah, and that would be really cool, right? Regarding the Slovenians like beers.
Yeah.
All right, Živa, cool. You just gave us more drunk people. Thank you. Yeah. That's what Živa would brought from UK to Slovenia. Let's get Slovenians drunk. There is not a lot of alcohol in Slovenia, so let's make it a little bit higher.
There is another thing I really like, and it's basically crossing the red light when you are a pedestrian. So if there is a red light and there is no car, you can cross it. You won't get a ticket for it. And it just makes so much sense, because sometimes I am in Slovenia and I'm standing in some village where there is no car whatsoever, like maybe one car a year, and I'm waiting on the red light, and I'm like, why?
Yeah, I mean, but on the other hand, if you do walk it on the red light and you get hit by a car, you're just like, well,
then you're an idiot.
Yeah.
Yeah, then don't cross it. There is a car coming.
That's the English spirit. Tell you right away, you're an idiot.
Yeah.
Hey, Robbie, by the way, thank you for the like. I catch it, but yeah, thank you. It was.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, that's another thing I love in London is our police officer, actually, because they have so much bigger shit to deal with, like crime, like proper crime. They don't fine you just for whatever, like crossing the red light, or even if you are speeding, they don't care. They are like, police here is like really, like, we'll deal with murderers and stuff like that. The rest of you do whatever you want.
Okay, cool. I mean, it does seem it's work to some kind of extent. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm thinking what else before we go to the last question. Well, we'll just go to the last question. I don't have chat. If you have anything, ask Živa, right? The father who is here, you can ask her now anything you want.
No.
just type in. I will read it out loud, and we can all have some fun with Živa. No, I'm joking. That I love. I hope you're that kind of guy who understands fun. It's like that.
Oh yes.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Okay. Cool. Then that is a good thing. But anyway, right? We always ask guests who are in relationship, like, what is the main thing that holds you two together?
Being up for something bigger than ourselves.
All right. Can you say a little bit more about it?
We had time when we existed just for like in a level of what about me.
Mm-hmm.
It was all like, I wanted 20 cats and he wanted 0 cats. He wanted to work out all the time and I wanted to watch television all the time. I think when you get into that mood, when, I don't know, you start to argue in the basic things like just whatever, like either finances or just some stupid little shit like, what is this cat doing here? Or the cat destroyed something.
Yeah.
Then you are halfway burned. Yeah, it just like, I don't know, I really took it on to bring peace and harmony to all living creatures. Like, I really wanted my gardens to connect animals, plants, humans, like to really bring back that love of nature to humans.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you know, Aleš, she's also up for big things. And since we deal with this, like stuff like how to cause world peace instead of what cat destroyed, our life just got so much easier.
Yeah.
Even though it sounds much more complicated, it's actually easier.
Yeah, and what makes the difference? Like, how did you two were able to switch, right? Because you said before we were like that, and what, you just woke up one day
That
and...
was purely a landmark forum.
All right.
Yeah.
What did you discover there? It's like, what moved you so much, right? Because it's not about the program, but it's about what you discovered.
It was actually, I love the advanced course, everyone knows. The advanced course was my pure love, where I discover what I'm actually doing in life. Because, you know, I mentioned before, I wanted to be a veterinarian, and then I wanted to draw for Disney, and then I wanted to be an architect and all of that. And it was actually till I was already living in London when I was still a little bit questioning whether I should go to be a vet at that point. Because I was like, at least I would find a job in Slovenia. I wouldn't need to move to London for it. And yeah, there is still really present that love for animals. And on that course, I discovered like, how do I actually connect all my interests together into something bigger?
Yeah.
So yeah, that was definitely it.
All right. I mean, and it really makes sense, right? It also, if we connect it to like your career path, right? When it was all about you, just all these small jobs that you didn't like, because you know the whole attention is me.
Yeah,
What about
and it
me?
was all about
me?
Survival. Let's take this job so I can
survive
get some money
London.
to live.
Yeah.
I mean, it is important to have some money in life, but yeah, it was definitely that. But yes, but then when I did the advanced course, I really discovered that there is something bigger than just me in life. And as long as I'm dealing with that thing, it just so I mean, everything else got so unimportant, and everything else just started to work. Actually, the more I care about the nature, the more my finance work, which makes it looks like it makes no sense, but it is like that. And the more I care about connecting people to nature, the more my relationship with Aleš work. So it's here is some hidden magic in what you are actually doing in life.
Yeah, definitely, right. I mean, totally agree. And knowing you too, I know what you're up to, and it's not like that. What Živa was saying, now their apartment is a mess. No, their apartment is like, it's really in a perfect shape. It's not like we're up to bigger things. It's all about others, and we live in a shithole with garbages all over the floor, right?
Yeah.
Just like you do start with yourself, but when you're up to bigger things that you just shared, just like arguing whether the T-shirt is on that place on other place, it's just like it seems like what really I don't have time and energy to spend on that, right? Just pick up the shirt, put it in the closet, and move on, right? What is the fuss about?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I have Aleš who cleans. That's why I'm laughing. He's my cleaning lady, my cooking chef.
Well, look, that's the partnership
I need to acknowledge him. He really makes my life easier. I would probably starve to death in some hole.
That is the other thing, right? You find the match who will bring out the worst and the best in you, and then it's just what you're up to, right? Is either you want to bring out the best in your partner or the worst in your partner. You can always, choose. So yeah, it's a great thing that you shared. And for all of you listening, look, it's really when you as a human being are up there to make a difference for other people, or mostly it's for other people, even though Živa shared time about nature and animals. But garden designers, animals don't need garden designers, and nature don't need garden designers, right?
Nature is much better designer than me, so.
Yeah. So, but then human beings with our wishes, and then it just makes sense, right? When you said I want to bring harmony and
and peace.
Yeah, peace and harmony between all living beings. It just makes sense that if you're that person, I'm peaceful and harmonic. I don't know, being harmony. I don't know how to say it, but just like being around that kind of person is pleasant, and when you cause that around you, it just like makes sense. People want to have that kind of person, and if you're good at what you're doing. So that would be a stupid idea from your current boss not to employ you, since you were like, in that good of relationship with everybody.
Actually, here I would say another thing that makes a difference for me, because when I was studying, and even after the studies, I was really much like, I love nature, I love animals, I love plants. Like, actually, this planet could do like perfectly well without people.
Mm-hmm.
And I hated people. Like, I was like, who cares about them? Like, just go away, go out of this planet, and the nature will be just fine.
Mm.
And it was that switch I made that actually people are here whether I want them or not.
Yeah, same goes for me. So
what I can do is stand in people respecting the nature and loving it. And that's when my switching career happened, because I really started to listen to the client, what they want, and listen for how could I bring the client into the garden. So if they have a free afternoon, they don't sit in the living room, but they go out in the garden.
Mm-hmm.
And what kind of plants would be the plants that they would go out and say, oh, look at this. This is blooming today. It wasn't yesterday. Or, oh, look at this. This one brings birds into my garden. Oh, I could sit here because there are birds singing. Or I could ask to plant this because we'll feed bees with that. Or I don't know, if I plant this, I get fox in the garden. Isn't it fun to sit in the garden and watch fox play in it? Like, this is what I want to create. So I'm really listening how to bring client out, basically, to get them out of the house.
Yeah, it's just awesome what you're sharing. It's just you could really feel what you're up to, and it's not about you, but it's just like it can really be like, all right, I guess that's why she gets to design $1 million garden, since somebody would want to just get the $1 million from a client, probably wouldn't get that client. I would say that because we all know, we think finances in this and that way, but it is like it is in the end all about relationships and how you approach people, how you see people. And it was the same for me, right? Even this stream, these talk shows wouldn't exist. I was the same. Like, people are idiots, you know. They don't respect anything. Like, we are definitely not the part of ecosystem. Like, you know, because no other creature destroys their natural habitat. Only us. So, you know. But when I lost that, and I was like, all right, I love people, and, you know, I can love them, and I'm, let's say, yeah, I can love them. I actually have the capability, right? Then you think about what can I give them so that they will move to another level, and this is my thing that I do. So, you know, bring here Živa to share with you guys what is possible. So, if we all really listen to it, it's really important, right, who you are being, like who Živa is being and what is she up to, regardless of what does she have and what does she do. It's just like being, doing, having, and that is like what I want to share out there. It really goes from being, doing, having, rather having, doing, being. Having, doing, being, it's a survival mode. So
yeah,
and it's a natural pattern for human being to think about. When I will have Maserati, I will drive around, look really cool, the ladies will dig me, and I will be happy. Well, you know, not a lot of people out there are succeeding in that way. Whether people who are happy are doing things out of happiness, are having things out of happiness, and Maserati could be still one of that, and they could still be, you know, flirting with a lot of ladies, but ladies will go with happy, confident guys, not with guys who are complaining. Why do they have? If I would have Maserati, you know, I will get the lady. Just giving a joke here, but you know, it goes with life the same thing. You know, it's just like with whatever we want. Start with who you are. So
yeah.
And thank you, Živa, for that.
That was always for me. I always wanted like big cars and fancy house and I don't know what. Mm-hmm. And then lately I just realized I don't need that. Mm-hmm. I can give up my Maserati for world peace. I know I sound like some Buddhist in Asia right now, but yeah, I really got there.
Yeah, and probably also, right, the insight of the, right, if somebody is willing to pay £1 million for a garden, it's like they don't probably have £1,000,000 and a pound to afford that, right? They have a little bit more, like, or, you know.
Yeah.
But, you know, and maybe give us this insight from your experience, right? Because we see rich people or very successful people almost as demigods, right? Most of the population. So what is your experience dealing with them, spending time with them? Because you have to be in conversation with them, right?
Yeah.
It's just like you cannot do the garden without, like you said, the way you do it. So what did you discover? Like, and I know you didn't deal with all the rich people on the planet, and it's not generalization, just from your
but
experience.
Most of them.
All right, guys, you heard it. She lives in London. You know, there are rich people, really rich people.
I would say they are no different than us, actually. I mean, you have inside of that group of rich people, you also have very different people. Like, you have people who really value the nature and are really nice. They talk to you like to a normal person to a normal person. Yeah, and then you have idiots, like, honestly. Okay. But you have also poor idiots, but yeah. So it's kind of spectre. It's almost the same. What I find is maybe they're a little bit more busy because they all run businesses. So sometimes you need to catch them a little bit. That's it.
But maybe the last thing, right? Because you mentioned the word idiot, but yeah, I mean,
I don't actually think of an idiot. It's like I with some people I work like really easily, and with some we have some difficulties and troubles. But yeah, as I said, that doesn't depend on how rich they are.
Yeah, exactly, right. And just to give us, like, you know, since you're so successful and you know you're dealing with that, it's like, what is the approach with the difficult people? I mean, difficult people. That is already a pre-assumption that there is something right. There's nothing wrong with them, right? They just operate in a certain way, which is like Živa finds difficult. Maybe some of us wouldn't find difficult. It would be really easy for us, and what Živa finds easy. But however, whenever we see somebody as difficult to deal with, pretty much like, and you want to still work with them or for them, or you need to find how to communicate with these kind of people. So what is your thing?
I mean, for me, first of all, difficult clients might be people who want unrealistic things, because nature does have its own limits. Like sometimes you just can't grow tree where the client wants it to grow. Or they want something like massive, and they are not willing to pay for it. And then finding with them that balance between the cost and what they actually get for it. So for me, I mean, it's the same with like good clients or the difficult ones. It's listening what they want. That's all there is. And listening for what's maybe even behind of what they want. Because sometimes they saw a nice picture on Pinterest and then bring you that picture. Like, I want this. And it's like, okay, what exactly on this picture is that you want? Is it like a blooming roses, or are the pebbles under it, or is it a nice stripy lawn? What on this picture you actually like? And then the more you talk to them, the more you slowly get into what they actually want. So it's
conversation, and being open. I got it. Curiosity, right? It's called curiously engaging into people. I think that's the expression, right? All right. Okay, Živa, one last thing. Do you have a plan to come in Slovenia and live in Slovenia, or are you gonna stay in London forever?
I do have plan to live in Slovenia. I do.
Really?
Yes, because of the food.
Because of the food.
So bad. I don't know if I can live on that food for a whole life.
Well, there is a thing, guys, you probably didn't know, but we did send Živa food from Slovenia. I mean, not me personally, but I know a person who did. So
people are sending me tomatoes.
Tomatoes in a plastic box into, seeming it's something else. And then she makes the video how she eats that tomatoes, all joyful, like, this has taste.
That's a proper joy of life. Yes. I think that would be the main reason. And I miss snow a little bit, and I miss hot summers also a little bit, because here it's all the time the same weather. So I miss seasons a little bit, but
all right. I'm glad that you're coming back, right? So me and Mr. JP will, we have a plan to have a house and a garden that I know nothing of how to do it. Even the plants that we have are dying because we probably don't take care of them the way it's supposed to be. Or they're just drying, and that is the natural state how the plant goes, right? The circle. And we think, oh, we messed it up. Something is wrong. We did something wrong. And, then you throw the plant, which is probably just in a phase of life, out. So, just for that, we will definitely come to you to do our garden. If you can do it for £1 million, I hope you can do it for a little less. 999,000 euros, right? It's like, it's not million, but I think you
I can do whatever you want.
All right, there you go, guys. No, but it was really fun, pleasure. Thank you for coming. Mr. JP said, note to myself, don't bring Živa a photo when she will design our garden. Yeah, I mean, I have a friend who is hairdresser, and then he says, the worst thing is when people come with a picture, I want that. And then I have to tell them, well, you can't have that because, your head and your hair just not gonna do that.
Yeah.
Like, the shape of your head and the shape of your the how your hairs are, the result is not gonna be that. I can try, but you will be disappointed.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, it's it's same with the garden. You can show us the picture, but it probably won't look like that at the end.
yeah, so one thing I discovered here would be like for everybody is just like trust the people who studied and put your thought like what you really want and listen to what they suggest, think over it. You just like, cooperate with them. It's just not a lot.
Yeah.
I don't think it's, pleasant for Živa that somebody comes, I want that garden, build it, and never communicate with her again. And, she has to do it a certain way without making suggestions that will actually benefit the garden. And vice versa, right? Is also the same. Like, oh, yeah, you would have a so-called specialist who would come here, like, yeah, I know. Then they made the garden and it's a whole mess. You're like, what is that? I'm not paying for that, right? So really communication, conversation is the secret. And yeah, thank you for reminding us of that, Živa. It's been a great run. Špela said we should send her like OG food like žganci and pečenica. Well, she is vegetarian, so but žganci yeah. And it will probably go bad until it comes, but it is a worth a try. I don't exactly know what that refers to, Špela. Can you give me a hint? I didn't see it in the moment. But yeah, anything you want to share, Živa, like how it was for you? How do you find this, right? Being in front of camera, talking to people that you don't know, which is, public speaking, sharing yourself.
No, it's actually really good because I almost forgot we are going live because I only have you on my screen. Yeah. So it's like just talking to you like every Tuesday and Saturday.
Sharing about your life.
We spent lots of time together with Yanni. So yeah, it is really good because I was sometimes wondering when you were asking guess things like how would I answer that, and I guess you don't know until you're actually doing it. Yeah. So yeah, no, it's really nice. It's really like relaxed.
All right, cool. Thank you for that. Yeah. So Špela said it was referring to food, that food will probably go bad until it comes to you.
Oh yeah.
If you send her Slovenian dishes, they will probably go bad until it arrives to her. Nowadays, yes, because
especially now that we Brexit, all the post gets lost. So don't send anything.
Nowadays, yes, but otherwise, that tomatoes survived, and they,
yes,
they were good. Živa said they were good, so. It did work. It didn't go bad. It did work, right? If it would be something freshly cooked, that would probably go bad.
But Masha once brought me dandelions leaves. It's again something that doesn't exist in London.
Yeah.
And I love it so much. And I was like, oh my gosh. So yeah, I need to enroll someone to come in March and bring me.
That if you're still with them, you have to go personally. If you send it by post, they won't come there.
Let's complete that corona so I can get to my food.
Yeah, let's do it for so many other reasons as well. But if that is gonna end the corona, we're up for it as well.
I need my dandelion. Yeah.
Špela has an question. If you don't like food there, do you cook yourself then?
Yes.
Yeah, but it is. Can you get to the level of taste as it in Slovenia or not? Okay.
Like the vegetables is without taste, so it's a little bit like shitty, but I can survive.
All right. I mean, you did until now, and you probably.
I do sometimes go out and eat in a restaurant, but I normally choose like Italian restaurant. Mm-hmm. I was probably Italian in my past life. I just love Italian food. All right. I go there and I eat everything. So, yeah.
All right, but in restaurants, food has more taste, you think, because they get better vegetables, or because
no, it doesn't have more taste.
Okay, it doesn't have more. Okay.
I'm just too lazy to cook, so I go out sometimes.
All right, there you go. You see, you can be successful and lazy. Still, nothing wrong with that. Yeah, Italian is amazing, but if veggies doesn't have taste, then you have to do something.
Yeah, no, it is a bit hard. So yeah, but it's then you sometimes discover a little shop market, something that sells something good. And then you get used to it, like where to buy stuff and what to buy, and like for example, Brussels sprouts. You know what's that? It's a little yeah. They actually taste better in England than in Slovenia. That's the only vegetable that tastes better here, so we eat lots of it. And then radish, the small red.
Oh yeah, red pizza. Yeah.
They taste pretty good. So you just get used to it. Anyway, I'm still sad for tomatoes because they don't taste like anything here. But yeah, I'll survive.
Spela has crazy idea. You should buy all the seasoning here and take it to London.
Yeah, I actually did that.
But it doesn't last. Like it's only for a week, maybe two. But
Alesh's mom gave me about probably 2 kilos or even more of tomatoes in the summer. So yeah, and it was the same time I bought a new computer. So I came to the Trieste airport. My luggage full of tomatoes and paprikas and
computer.
And I had 2 computers, 2 phones, and an iPad, and that was all my luggage. The guy was looking at me like,
are you gonna sell it? Is that your startup? Is that your Kickstarter?
Yeah. I'm selling tomatoes and computers in London. That's my business. So
yeah. All right, cool. We got it. Freeze veggies and take it back. Just buy full suitcases. Yeah, I bet she tried everything, right? Like by now in 4 years, how she can, but it doesn't last. Probably more than 2 weeks, I guess. Right? Because it's good and she eats it. That's why.
Yeah, exactly. We eat it.
Yeah. All right, cool. So. Thank you, Živa. Thank you for being our guest and share this with you. Karina will get a bunch of highlights. She's just so all the time. I have so many highlights. You don't want to know. I have like 30 emails to do the highlights of, and we have new YouTube video coming out every day, and we still, if I do them, I'm good for another year. So it's like we don't need to do anything, and YouTube will be going on for a year. So yeah. Spela says this was great. Thank you for being here, chatting with us, everybody. Yeah. So don't forget, right? I will be keep on saying every stream, Monday night, somebody will get this cup. So be here. The topic is gossiping on podcast, which is like, something in Slovenia goes a lot, and I bet all over the world, like, right? Something easy to do. Some magazines lives out of it. So, well, that's how it is, right? Yellow Pages lives on gossiping. So, we will look into that, like how that impacts our life. How did me, Emma, and Dula deal with it? Like, how are we dealing with it? Like, you guys will be able to share your point, like how you see it, how you're dealing with it, and then take a look on impact and how it is if you take it out, right? And that's going on. We started 9 CT, and that's going on for probably 1 hour, 1 hour 15 max usually. And then we will do these giveaways. So make sure you follow Mr. JP on Twitch. And you'll be with us on Twitch on Monday, because only the people who will be on Twitch, I can do that because it has this connection. And that we are live on Facebook is just 1 month like extra that we said we're gonna do and test it out, see this, but Twitch has some policy that is not allowed. So it's gonna probably go on for 2 or 3 shows and then it's out. So but it's a good thing. It's a good thing. So make sure you follow Mr. JP on Twitch to be more shows. We're having, like I said, Sunday shows are Slovenian talk shows with guests in Slovenian. So people are like, I just booked a pro basketball player, a guy who created basketball club, a guy who is a really known musician in Slovenia, a guy who is working in a nursing home with elders, physiotherapists. I mean, the one girl who switched her diet and changed her life, like from totally sick to totally healthy, and Ursha bought her cooking cart, and we're eating it, and they're amazing. So like a lot of interesting guests. And Spela will be our guest on Sunday. She had some things to deal with in life, and she will be like sharing how she's dealing with it, how it's life for so-called the topic that will be covered on Sunday will be a little bit different than usual. It will be a lot of conversation about mental health. So she'll be sharing how actually, it is for people who are, I don't know. She will share it on Sunday. Be with us, those of you who talk Slovenian, and those of you who are not, Monday podcasts and Wednesday talk shows. Next week on this show is a woman who lives in my hometown, Novo Mesto, and she's from Netherlands. And Mike Wood, and it's Mike Wood's neighbor, so that's how we get to it. You see, relationships. That's how it is. That's the answer always. If you need something in life, who do you know that has a connection to that? So that's how it is. All right. No, that is not a gamer. No. High school. We are having podcast on women and gaming the last Monday in February. So I will work that. I will do something that we will have one woman who is playing games for that podcast to share with us how it is, what is she dealing with, because Ula and Em are not. So probably going to be a lot of questions and a lot of sharing also from that point of view. So yeah, thank you guys, and all of Call of Duty fans. I'm live tomorrow at 10 to 2 and Friday 10 to 2. All of you who are more in talk shows and podcasts, the schedule is out there. Check Mr. JP on all socials, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, also TikTok for the new agers. Wherever you look, Mr. JP is there. Even LinkedIn and Twitter. We're all over the place. Just it's how it is at the moment. So but it is worth sharing. So thank you guys for support, for the love, for all the likes and follows. I appreciate it, and see you whenever the alert button goes on and you want to be with us. Until that moment, hug somebody, tell them you love them. If you don't have anybody, tell it to yourself and hug yourself. That's what Sanskriti, our guest from a couple of Sundays ago, said. So, we are taking it on. Why not? Natalia, thank you for the follow. And this is it for tonight. Have a good one, guys. Bye-bye.